We are here today.
What's good? Been singing a lot lately, bro.
I know.
I like that. It's good energy. It's good energy.
It's ever since we had Julie Santos on the show, and she put that battery on my back and said I could be a backup singer for Ellie's Jazz.
I don't think she was being serious, man.
I have the clip. I'm gonna post it.
All
right. So let's start the show. Manny's here. We're gonna talk to Manny in a second.
Yeah, marvelous. Okay. Yeah, I'm on my Frank Lucas shit. 3-piece suits, Valentino cufflinks, LV shoes. I bring the shorty closer, just enough to feel the gun on the holster. Out on the balcony, feeling on the breeze. City skylines, we're puffing on some trees. Cup Henny on the rocks with the soda. Maybach, front of the building with the chauffeur. Yeah, and he waiting on me. Got no blood in his hands and my name in the seats. No baby, no fence, no chinchillas, baby. What happened to Frank? Phone calls, transactions hand in hand. Give drugs to Rick, the mother Benny Benz. Talk to Craze and he talks to me. Keep my business out the streets. It's the ART.
Bam. Craze, what'd you think of the new intro?
I like it, man. What's good? I always look good in it. So
that's what you like.
Yeah. As long as you make me look good.
Welcome to the Rick Gay Show. My heterosexual life partner, Craze Boogie, is to my left or right. I don't know how you see him on the YouTube side. Okay. If I point this way, I'm pointing Craze Books.
No, you're
not. But on YouTube, I am.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I wasn't. I just checked.
not in here.
Not on my screen.
With us today is Infused Chef Manny. Manny, welcome to the show.
Woo.
We appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for coming to the podcast panel. That's where I first met Manny.
Yeah, that's where we met.
Manny, I think, actually won one of the giveaways.
What?
I think so. Am I wrong?
I might have. Like, I was so.
It was one of the trivia questions. I forgot what it was. But
yeah. But we had a great time.
Thank you. Oh, of course, Benny Banks, my fucking show.
Checking in.
Yes. He's always got to make sure he drops a comment. Welcome to the show, Manny. So, Manny, tell us what your
which are not just limited to the typical brownie, cookie, crispy, cheesecake. You know, I mean, cheesecake is not that typical, but that's something that we've implemented. Cheesecake, yes, cheesecake. We've got we've got cake jars, and I got a biscotti cheesecake here. You know biscotti?
Oh my god, yeah, I love that biscotti cheesecake.
How far are you guys? You guys are in town?
I'm in Queens, and Crazy is in the Bronx. He's
Crazy in the Bronx. Okay, because I saw Wadsworth on the intro, and I thought you might be able. This is a chocolate cake jar with infused frosting.
I'll come pick it up. What's up?
So we'll get it to you, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
So that's what we do is we make infused foods. Not just this. We do pasta Alfredo. We will do some gluten-free for the people who are celiac or gluten sensitive or just want to exclude gluten. Some people who are keto also. Keto is not just so that you can lose weight. A lot of people want to avoid sugar and have a low sugar lifestyle, and they appreciate infused foods that are keto. You know, so it's low in sugar and avoid the carbs and all of that. So we've found a way to fill a need. A lot of people benefit from edibles. A lot of people look and gravitate towards edibles as opposed to smoking because of the smell, because of asthma. On the podcast we were on the other day, the young lady spoke about her personal experience with the tincture. Because she has asthma. So as opposed to her smoking or vaping, which is not good for her, it's detrimental to her lungs, she uses a tincture in a seltzer, coffee, tea, a shake, or straight up sublingual to be able to medicate and work on her anxiety and her sleeplessness or onset pain, and that sort of thing.
Yo, that's interesting, man.
So, infused foods. You already gave us the definition. What's infused? Now, you brought up the tincture. It's just so many things you can do with this one product. You brought up the cakes, the tinctures, the cookies, and all that other stuff. But how do you get it into my favorite chicken parm, or give me something else crazy?
So I'll pasta Alfredo,
Yeah.
spaghetti,
Mhm.
cheese steaks, not cheesecake, cheese steaks, like Philly cheesesteaks. And I have one I call it the Cuban cheesesteak because it has like mojo cubano. Mojo cubano, for people who don't know what that is it's olive oil mixed with bitter orange, garlic, and sometimes butter. And so basically the infusion and how the food is infused depends on the recipe. So if it's something that's fat-based or has, some sort of oil or butter that goes into it, we would use infused butter or infused oil. And we also provide those for patients. Some patients like to have the butter or the infused fat or the tincture itself. Like something like this, you could add literally to your oatmeal in the morning. Couple drops, bam, bam, and go about your day. But like for the infused foods, for instance, what we're having Friday, the infused experience, we're going to be cooking with all kinds of infusions. So we will use the extract, right, which is the tincture. We will use infused olive oil. We will use infused avocado oil, and we will use infused butter, grass-fed butter. We like to use grass-fed butter because it's a higher quality fat and a better absorption for the body and the lipids and all of that.
Yo, you're getting really scientific with this shit.
This is what I'm loving. The man is not just telling you, I make the butter. No, giving you the process, the why, and what's better to use.
I love that shit. I'm a weed nerd. I love things.
Information is important. Information is important. Yes, everything that you participate in your life has to do. You have to have information. Like you can't. You're wearing. It looks like Rick is a fellow masochist because he's a Knicks fan like me. So to know the game of basketball is to know that the Knicks have sucked for the last 27 years.
Let's say since 99. 99 was the last time we were in the finals.
99 was okay. Allen Houston was a poor leader, but that's another subject.
Yeah.
But so information is important, right? The information that you have about your industry, your expertise, your line of work separates you or categorizes you or puts you at certain levels among the rest. And so I've learned the good way and the hard way that it pays best, not just financially, but it pays best to be well informed and to be knowledgeable about this.
Facts.
So, Manny, we're all Latinos here. Let's dispel some myths about Mary Jane or cannabis. First, they say gateway drug. How do you feel about that?
Who says
I don't believe that.
This is something that's brought up a lot.
That's a negative connotation that people have been using towards cannabis and mentioning it towards marijuana. We try not to say marijuana too much or weed or pot because cannabis is the proper term. Marijuana has, a very bad connotation, paradigm, and stigma to it. And that's what we're looking to break amongst our Latino people. So is marijuana a gateway drug? No, because your Uncle Benito doesn't pass you a glass of infused drink or a bottle of infused beer at a baby shower when you're 11 years old. Uncle Benito passes you a beer.
Yeah.
And then Uncle Benito gets sloppy drunk and he goes home and he slaps up his wife. Exactly. Or he lashes out on his kids. Yeah. And you don't do that when you smoke a joint.
So let's specifically the Latino world, right? I always grew up and the older folks are completely against cannabis.
Yes.
There seems to be a change of tide right now. Yes, growing up was they'd rather you the example he just gave is perfect. They'd rather you drink than smoke.
That's a fact. Yeah, growing up, that's true.
Growing up. So, why is that? Why are Latinos like that?
Well, Reefer Madness, I don't know if you're asking me, but Reefer Madness, which took place you know, way back from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, which is when
Crazy fired.
governments and the people that were in power, the authoritarians and politicians, they knew that the media was a good way or the perfect way to influence people. So they put on the news and they created this stigma and this narrative around cannabis and cannabis consumption and how their daughters were in danger because now their daughters were going to be open to having sexual relations with Mexicans and or African Americans, black people.
Facts.
And so, Bia, shout out to Ivan Manito, my man, Bia, calling me out there. Bia is my personal alter ego.
Let's go.
Right now, I am Manny Infused Chef at the moment. And so,
and Ivan's brother.
Yeah, B, I see you, brother. Much love to all of you, bro. So, so with that negative connotation and with that negative propaganda, right? Everyone started to spread it. What do our parents? I mean, you guys might be. I'm old, you know. I'm close to 40, but
me too. We up there. Okay. 37.
So your parents, right? What was their source of information and knowledge? Manipulated knowledge, but information. Where do they get it?
Univision, Telemundo, the TV.
Norman Vergara with the big ears right there by Galicia, 172nd and Broadway. Galicia closed down already. But the news was how they were informed. And so whatever the news says,
that's what it was.
Spanish, eso es ley, right?
Yeah.
Eso es ley. So whatever they were saying on the news, look, cannabis is doing that. Now what are they putting out there? Cannabis might be laced with fentanyl.
Yep.
I addressed that at the other podcasts. And I also posted on my Instagram, Manny_Infused_Chef. Why would someone purposely lace your cannabis with fentanyl? Financially, it doesn't make sense for the seller. Okay. Someone's looking to poison you. And if someone's deliberately looking to poison you, they're going to use fentanyl or chloroform or whatever they could get their hands on. Trepacito, if you're Dominican or Spanish, you know what that is.
They're
going to use that. So the negative connotation towards cannabis and how it comes to be that it's a gateway drug or it's something negative comes from that negative propaganda. Prior to Reefer Madness and during that propaganda in the 50s and 40s, cannabis was on every shelf in every botiquín, what you call in Spanish, aka pharmacy.
Word.
So 10, 15, 20 years from now, we'll be talking about how you had to obtain this product illegally, right, in some sort of illicit form, but how in 15, 20 years from now, during that timeline, or at that time in 2040, 2050, how people will be obtaining this product medicinally for everyday remedies and ailments in a Walgreens or a CVS or a Duane Reade or a Rite Aid. That's just going to be the reality.
So I believe that we're a lot closer to that than a lot of people think. There's just too many. It's out already. It's too much positives off of one plant, and because you could use it for many reasons. You know, it's used for anxiety, as you mentioned. If you lack of sleep, appetite. What's the other one? Even love. Love is there's this. I've seen CBD oil that's called the love potion. Now I'm not 100% sure what that does, but
you
I have
say like it's an aphrodisiac.
Do you want me to go into it?
I'm not even sure. Oh, but yes, please explain some of these different uses for
this. One tincture is not alcohol based, but it's a cannabis distillate tincture infused with raw virgin coconut oil. So this won't be stingy to the touch, right? So something like this, which is alcohol derivative, will sting. And why I'm going to mention why it's what to sting.
Bro, I feel like I should be taking notes. Hold on.
You should be. Definitely should be recording this. You should save this. Bookmark it, earmark it.
We're recording this. What am I talking about? We're recording this.
We are recording this.
Yeah, no, I got nervous. I feel like there's going to be a test later on or something.
Yes, definitely. There will be a test.
Okay, good. All right, good.
And so you can use this, like I mentioned at the Gender Bender podcast. You can use this for your erogenous zones, your sexual organs, the man's penis, the head of the penis, the clitoral areas, clitoral stimulation. Our sex organs are engorged, right? There was a health professional at the other podcast, which would agree with me that our sex organs have thousands of nerve endings, and so they're ultra sensitive. And so products like this, right?
Yeah, that's
and
where the
butter or even an infused olive oil, which is not bad for your skin, right? Well, you can use this on your partner and rub it into that area. And what you're doing is you're going to make the person ultra sensitive and more aroused, right? Because now their nerve endings are enhanced and more sensitive, so they're going to feel more to the touch, right? And we as men are very clumsy when it comes to the female button, the clitoris, right? That's actually a female penis, but that's another subject. I'm not a scientist and I'm not a medical professional. I just have years of experience. I'm speaking from experience. So in these areas, and specifically in these areas of our body, you have extra nerve endings, thousands of nerve endings, and those nerve endings can be stimulated as such. You probably wouldn't want to put alcohol there, but you would definitely want to use something infused, something like this.
That's
tincture.
Fucking advice.
Right? Remember years ago, people were taking Molly anally?
Yes.
Remember that? And if you have any kids, you might have used a suppository for your child or even on yourself. Maybe not as an adult, because people don't like to put stuff up their butt. But I mean, when it comes to sex, anything goes, right?
Yeah,
so if you're using this on your member as a man, and you're also applying this to your sexual partner's sexual organs and or their anus, you're gonna have a great time.
You have a good time? Okay, that's good to know.
You just saved somebody's marriage. So you saved marriage. No, not mine. Mine is beautiful. I'm just talking about people, and then there's people with cancer who might have a loss of appetite. I mean, this is a big switch from
that is a big fucking pivot right there, bro.
But I just want to show the serious side of the shit too. So there's people that lose appetite because of the process. What they like to call that
chemotherapy. They take chemotherapy. Right, chemotherapy, and chemotherapy has been proven to be very harsh on the body, and people react negatively towards it.
Yeah.
We have a couple of patients, members that have passed due to cancer, and the extreme treatment through chemotherapy. I can't say the cause of death because I'm not a medical professional, but they say that chemotherapy, it either cures you or kills you. Some people might say that.
It's poison. You're actually putting.
But it is a form of poison to attack the cancer cells in the body. And so the patients whom we've dealt with benefit during their treatments and after their treatments tremendously with cannabis infused foods or cannabis products. Some of them can't smoke, and so that's where edibles and other extractions come in. Some of them can't keep food down, and that's where vapes and smoking and other things come in. There's something called Simpson Oil, which is similar to tincture, and it's a full alcohol extraction from the cannabis flower, and people will put it into pills. And I personally had a patient who would make it at home, and we helped him and assisted him making it a couple times, and he would take it both orally or anally because of the effects, because of the positive effects. Not only cancer, Crohn's disease, colitis, people with osteoporosis, severe arthritis, pain. My wife, for example, has bursitis, which is kind of like a herniated, you might have heard of herniated discs, but it's a herniated shoulder blade. It's in back there, the shoulder blade. It's a shift and a bulging shoulder blade. It's extremely painful, especially women that have breasts or large breasts will have more pain because now they got this weight, right? And it's weighing back on these, on the scapula and all that, the posterior delt. And so herself, personally, my wife specifically is a medical marijuana patient, as am I, and she benefits tremendously from the edibles.
I honestly have bursitis on my hip, so she was taking exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, there you go, bursitis. She was taking, it's inflammation, right, during the joint. She was taking, and cannabis is a great anti-inflammatory.
It's
Much
anti-inflammatory.
better than ibuprofen and
I put a lot of CBD in my coffee in the morning.
there you
It
go. So
helps
if
with
you
back pain and anxiety as well.
so if you have bursitis, we've got 2 creams. This one is CBD and THC infused. This is on our everyday menu,
Oh,
and patients benefit tremendously from this.
Saludo.
And then there's the lotion, right? Our butt tender lotion. This is THC infused. There's some other cannabinoids in here also. This is great for topical
that stuff looks like it smells good too. I don't
to
know.
deal with. Yeah, both of these smell pretty good. Both of these have a very pleasant smell to them. This one is more like a pomade, like an ointment,
Got
right?
you.
And this is more like a lotion,
Lotion.
like a creamy lotion.
Yo,
Okay.
I'm with all of these products, man. I'm gonna need to do a little.
It's not just the plant. It's
not just the plant. It's not just rolling up blunts in the hallway anymore.
I mean, which is great.
It's not just plant clan ain't nothing to fuck with. It's not,
But I
Dunning
love,
Dutchman or Phillies.
I love ingesting it through my pores. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk about. So he mentioned the anus thing. So the I don't know if people know this, but
I feel like the way you pivoting.
I know I'm pivoting really hard today, but the reason why medically the doctors have said anything you do through the anus, it goes. So if you put a beer in your butt, you're gonna get drunk faster.
Faster, yes.
Way faster.
Because the absorption in the colon,
yes. So anything you do like that's the medical fact. So for all you
that's interesting. All you medical students, let's tuning in.
Yes.
Yeah. There's always the correctors, the non-believers, and the but that's the world we live in. That's okay.
Word.
So how do I convince my 95-year-old abuela who
Yo, that's a good question because I need to figure out how to get my dad.
Yes.
So I've learned, because my own father had brain surgery in 2017, and I've learned through my own experience that they, at least with my parents, they don't listen to me. I can do all these podcasts and as many interviews, and they're just not gonna, they're not gonna take it from me because they know me so personally, and familiarity tends to breed contempt. So I would say find some Spanish, if they speak Spanish only, some Spanish well-versed videos on YouTube, news, discussions, lectures, where they can sit down and you could grasp their attention for 10, 15 minutes and talk to them about the marvels and all the positive benefits from the product and how they can consume it. They don't have to roll up a joint or spark a blunt, and they don't have to go cop on the corner either. They can simply take something like a lotion and use this for arthritis.
No, that's really because that's the main thing is I feel like my dad could benefit from it because of that. Because he has some health conditions that are like, I've heard that this is a good option for people that have this type of stuff. But I feel like because of what you're saying and them seeing as like the wacky weed, the evil wacky weed, it's like, how do you convince a 70-year-old man that what was that dude's name? Jorge Ramos been telling him the last 30 years, bro. It's like, bro, he trusts Jorge Ramos way more than he trusts me.
To the death. Jorge Ramos is like Jesus for our parents. God.
Well, even Jorge is changing his.
He knows what's up. No, he knows what's up.
I mean, we
gotta get Jorge Ramos on the show.
They have to go kind of with what's popping. If you kind of look at news media sources, they really don't have a choice but to, because this is hot. This is a hot topic.
Yeah.
This is trending, right? And this is something that's been,
and it's a culture shift.
Huh? It's a culture shift right now. And so the propaganda has been disproven. So now all this smack that they used to talk negatively about this product, they kind of have to eat their words. And I mean, they won't admit to it or stand on a podium and say, listen, I apologize for bashing, cannabis and all of that. They're not going to do that, but they're going to easily just promote and say everything that's coming out that, people want to listen to. Abuelo Zeta de lo mío, desde la República Dominicana.
Hey. So Roman just tuned in. What's up, Roman? So would you compare this moment in time in history similar to when prohibition was being removed? because it was a similar feeling towards alcohol, and then it became illegal, and then moonshiners came and they were like,
Right.
"Nah, this is our thing."
Well, so I wasn't, I've just read about that and experienced that through TV and news sources and reading and history books. So I don't have a personal experience with how that was, the Prohibition era back then. People like to compare it, but I don't like to discredit cannabis like that, because liquor, alcohol, is just a recreational drug.
Tony's right.
Of course, that's a fact, bro.
100%.
It's very smart, very intuitive young man right there. So, yeah, as opposed to, or quite differently from alcohol and liquor sales and wine and whiskey, bourbon and cognac and all that, you've never had a doctor tell you, all right, well, go home and take 4 shots of Hennessy. Because I know I know you can't.
A lot of people wish that was.
So go take, make sure it's VSOP though. Don't get that wax shit. They don't do that. Why don't they do that? Because alcohol is a depressant, right? It makes people violent. It makes people act out of character. It makes you lose your inhibitions. And the reality is, it's December, and at the end of this year, I'm not happy about that, but hundreds of thousands of people will have died at the hands of alcohol consumption, whether it be through diseases that they picked up because of alcohol consumption, like diabetes. Diabetes is that's the real pandemic in the country. But I don't want to touch that subject. Car crashes, domestic violence.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I live in a it's suburban, but it's kind of like an urban neighborhood here in Jersey. And neighbor down the block, cop has come a couple times in the past couple weeks. I've never seen him with a blunt in his hands, but I know for a fact that the domestic violence that's going on in that household has to do with liquor, because there's cases and cases of beer outside the house every time trash comes to pick it up. And that might sound like slander, but I'm just addressing something that's real.
That's real.
In our demographic, in our neighborhoods. And that's not just here in New York and New Jersey. That's from here to Malibu, and from Sacramento all the way up to Seattle, back down to Colorado, all the way over to Texas, right down to the beautiful state of Florida and Miami, and right back up to New York City and past, to New England.
We're on the same page, man. I always say that alcohol is way worse for your body, for us as humans, than like cannabis could ever be. So I'm with you on not discrediting it, and comparing it to the alcohol prohibition. They probably should make alcohol like a controlled substance. That might be. So a lot of people might not like that, but it might be safer.
It's been normalized. Liquor has been normalized.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You never think twice about a parent walking around with a drink at a resort, like let's say Kalahari. You ever been to Kalahari and the water resort over there in Pennsylvania?
Never been there.
So Kalahari is an indoor water resort water park.
Okay.
And there's a dozen bars in there, let's say, right? And there's a couple of places to eat, but you'd be frowned upon, or you'd be looked at negatively, in a negative light, if you're walking around with a joint in your mouth, in Kalahari. But no one will think twice about you walking around with this giant 32-ounce mega alcohol dosed Sex on the Beach or whatever, frozen margarita, you know what I'm saying? And not that every time you drink liquor you become violent, but you're more dangerous on alcohol and liquor consumption than you are on cannabis. And that's just a fact.
I brought up the gateway thing. So to me, honestly, it's never been really said, but I feel alcohol is more of a gateway to anything else than cannabis. For instance, alcohol is something you have to know your levels of consumption and what you can drink. And people freely dive into it when they turn 21. Yeah, let me take some shots. Let me do this. Let me do that. Not knowing what the alcohol tastes like, what their taste buds are, what they actually enjoy, because alcohol does not taste good when you're
Yeah.
21. Yeah, like if you go and you grab, let's say gin, for example. I hate gin. You go and you put raw gin on a cup and you drink it. It's not going to be the most pleasant drink you've ever had in your life.
Right.
So I feel like what Craze said, a controlled substance, it might be hard, but that's why I stick to like wine and beer. And you got to know your limits with alcohol. With marijuana, you usually have, either a cookie or something infused, or you have, what they call a joint or a blunt,
Mhm.
and you're good. That's it. It's not like
I think I struggle with edibles sometimes with that though, because I feel
but
like
you gotta know.
I feel
Manny's
like
gonna
for
talk
me,
about. I wanted to ask Manny about, like, you gotta know
yeah,
what your dosage is, what
Your tolerance, your
your
dosage. It's all
tolerance
about
is.
dosing, yeah.
Mhm.
because I
Yeah,
feel like for edibles, what my experience has always been like either like I feel like there's not enough necessarily, or then I'm just like asleep. Then it's just like I took way too much. I'm sleepy now. I'm gonna just go to sleep. Um, I don't know. I haven't had a good experience. Like I feel like
That's it.
it's
I'm
always
gonna
the
bring
more.
that up.
so those studies, I want to dispel those studies
Yeah, that's not
by the
good.
Roman Epic Productions.
Yes,
Those studies, you can flush those down the toilet because the decline in IQ,
I used to hear that from
I
the old
can't give
folks
you
growing
that
up.
there because
That's a lie.
I mean, I've been smoking cannabis since I was 12 years old, and my IQ seems pretty up there. So I would do your research again on that
That's how they would get you. You
and
know.
find out how it's being dispelled. The
Yeah,
fact that cannabis burns brain cells,
it's just not
that's
true.
old news. That's been dispelled. You're still in the dark ages when it comes to that information that you're spreading. And that's what we want to break. We want to break that stigma. We want to break that paradigm. That excitement that people have to share false information, we want to crack that. Because that right there is a false narrative. Cannabis has been proven to stimulate
Yeah,
neurosensitivity,
and
neuro,
creativity.
neuroneogenesis, and look that up. And you're talking about somebody 27 years in the game. So, and not just in the game, but I mean in consumption.
Mhm.
So
And
you gotta
creativity.
recheck your sources
Source right there.
and
Yeah.
get well educated about this before you come and dance in this ring with me because I'm a heavyweight, not just physically.
All right.
Now let's talk about Craze and I both said it. Creativity. I feel like I haven't seen a study of it yet, but I'm pretty sure if you put that thing on the scalp, you'll
Mhm.
see it shooting off in the creativity because your mind just starts going places, and you just start thinking of things. And if you're an artist, like it
Yeah.
spews out. It spews out.
Yeah, neurotransmitters. Have you ever been to South Beach, the Wynwood district?
Oh, for Art Basel, which just wrapped up. I
Yeah,
haven't been there yet.
yeah. I mean, the creativity down there is wonderful. Not that everyone down there is on cannabis, but I bet my bottom dollar that most of them are.
A lot of them.
60%. I'd say 60% of artists consume cannabis in some way or form from those down there. Not all artists in general. I'm just saying the artists in that urban graffiti, glorified, it's beautiful art.
Yeah.
Beautiful art, and they're consumers for the most part. So yeah, creativity and neurotransmitters. There are studies, and that's where we come in. That's where the infused experience comes in, because at the infused experience, we're going to dispel a lot of these myths, and a lot of these negative connotations and these stigmas and paradigms that people are building up into it. If you look for negative information on cannabis, you're going to find it. That doesn't mean it's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Once you start
confirmation
looking for
bias.
the
Yeah.
real, when you find the real information on cannabis and how it affects us and our bodies, then you will realize how beneficial it is. I'm not saying everyone needs to consume it, but everyone, how about this? I'm going to drop an easy fact for you. We all have cannabinoid receptors in our body. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Cannabinoid receptors. Your body has a system, kind of like your neural system, kind of like your digestive system, that picks up on cannabinoids. Where are cannabinoids found, Mr. Rick Yarrow?
Cannabis.
Cannabis. There you go. So if this is already in your body, this system to pick up on it, I never heard of a cognac receptor system. I never heard of a tequila receptor system.
Yo,
I haven't heard of a Marlboro, Newport, Lucy.
Well, you're going to it now. The other thing is they love to compare, because originally marijuana was a joint. It was rolled up, so it looked like a cigarette. People love to give you the symptoms and the effect that a cigarette gives, and they put it onto a marijuana cigarette. So the difference between those two is something I would like to dispel, because again, older folks who don't know better, that kills your brain cells. Like she just said, that kills your brain cells,
Right.
and that gives you cancer, and that gives you this, and it gives you that, and this and that. Explain the difference between a cigarette and a marijuana joint or a cigarette as well.
So there are studies that show that smoke in general is bad to inhale. Any kind of smoke, okay, whether it's cigarettes, pure tobacco, or the poisoned cancer sticks that they sell at the corner store, aka cigarettes. But cannabis itself, rolled up and smoked, is safer than the tobacco that's packaged with nicotine and chemicals that has been proven. It has the Attorney General, right? The U.S. Surgeon, there's a U.S. Surgeon General, sorry, not Attorney General. U.S. Surgeon General has a warning on the boxes of cigarettes, and it says that tobacco kills and causes cancer. Now, I'm not a scholar, you know what I mean? And I'm not a doctor, by no means, but I know how to read. And if something says it kills, I probably don't want that. And I wouldn't compare it to a product, a drug that's now being brought into the light about how beneficial it is. The negative connotations towards it were all financially based and racial based. You know, the propaganda against cannabis was all racial and financially biased. You understand? It wasn't the elite at that time wasn't benefiting from cannabis being on the shelves, or from their, as they would say, their young white daughters sleeping with colored men or Mexican men. They didn't want that in the United States. And who's the biggest media source in the world since those times? The United States. So all of that information pours out into where? Into Latin America, Central America, South America, and so on and so forth. Shout out to the Brazilian people who consume maconha, because cannabis in Brazil is also very large and very freely accepted nowadays.
Yo, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So she just wrote back. So I conduct the study and do research and provide information. In terms of the information I put up as a topic point, I have no vested interest in
thank you
cannabis.
for participating, man. Yeah,
I appreciate it. I mean, it's a
right,
good,
but what we're saying is that your information is outdated, and that you should double check. You should fact check. Isn't that the right term nowadays?
Yes, it is.
You should fact check your information. Obviously, I have a vested interest in it because I'm part of this movement. You know.
So what I'll do is I'm gonna go on the comments. I'll drop a link that I found to something that it's a study that talks about the study about that IQ stuff, and how some of that stuff was dispelled because of the parameters.
Yeah, see, it's very exciting to share information and to be knowledgeable. It's exciting, it's good, but it's also, you know, dangerous. It's important to not mislead each other and not misinform each other. We are here to empower our fellow Latinos and the people in our demographic, and even worldwide, not just limited to Latinos. We want people to understand that they have much more benefits with this product than they do with some of the over-counter medications that they might consume, Tylenol, acetaminophen, and aspirin. Do the research on aspirin. They were telling people to take an aspirin a day just to avoid a heart attack.
Yes.
Now decades later,
months ago, it was proven do not do that.
Don't do that. Why?
It causes a heart attack.
It causes, and it also causes ulcers because it eats away at your stomach lining.
Exactly.
And that's
Also-
not something that happens with cannabis.
Also, Advil as well, ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen, yeah.
That's why they always tell you to drink Advil with not on an empty stomach because it will cause ulcers in your stomach.
It erodes the stomach lining.
Mhm.
It erodes the stomach lining, and with the stomach enzymes, it's bad for you. There's no ibuprofen receptor system in your body. There's no acetaminophen receptor system in your body. There's no Adderall, Vicodin, OxyContin, Percocets, opiate receptor system in your body, right? But there's a cannabinoid receptor system. So it's important to share the right information and to keep sharing it so that we can grow and so that we can move forward as a people. You'd be hard pressed to find someone at a family party, right, amongst us Latinos, at a baby shower and everything, where you say, "No, vamos a ir afuera, fumar un joint, ven con nosotros." I know.
Yeah.
No fumar droga.
Yeah.
In terms of information I put
No,
up.
that was an old post.
Right. Okay, so you do that at a family function, at an event. You say, "Vamos para afuera, que me voy a dar una patada porque estoy un poco ansioso, or I want to have a good time y esto me ayuda." No, that's bad for your social anxiety. They rather tell you to drink 2 cups of wine. 2 cups of wine turn into 4. You drive off by yourself, you get pulled over. Let's say you're not swerving or swaying, but the officer asks you how many drinks you had. And now, because you've been conditioned to think that the cops are always on your side, you share information which you're not supposed to share because you're within your right to remain silent. And you're sharing this information. Now you got a DUI because you told Officer Enriquez that you had a couple of drinks at the baby shower. And he says, "Well, I saw you crossing the double line. Step out the car." I weigh 270 pounds. If I do a field sobriety test, my fat ass is probably going to fail. I haven't done no exercise in years. Now, that's my own fault. But the reality is that you just fell for a trap to get a DUI. Because at the party, you could have just gone with your cousin and taken a couple pulls, which I'm not saying you should drive while you're smoking, but
probably had a better time.
You'll probably have a better time and be safer.
And no hangover the next day.
Right. No hangover. No, you don't really lose a lot of cognitive function with a couple tokes from a joint. But take 3 shots of tequila and let me know how you're driving, how you're boxing, and how your hand-eye coordination is. I used to work in a nightclub years ago. And we would call Saturdays Rumble in the Jungle because it was Latino night. And all these bottles were flying.
Damn.
I've been at over 20 cannabis events, more than 20 prior to COVID. And I've never seen a fight break out or a rumble.
It's usually chill.
Or a melee or a mob or someone get jumped or anything like that.
It's chill vibes, usually.
So it just goes to show you how one thing affects you over the other and how perspective and these influences.
The stigma around it too. It's like
right. The stigma is correct.
The stigma that has been around for years.
Decades, yeah.
And now it's going to take some time to break off. But let's talk about the Infused Experience, a celebration of infused foods.
That's coming up.
Yes, it's Friday.
So I'll put up the link because you obviously have to register.
I need to come through.
Purchase.
Yeah, I need a purchase spot.
So
definitely come through.
What can we expect, Manny, if we go to this experience?
So at the Infused Experience, it's not just about people getting wrecked. That's not why we do this. It's not just about people getting blasted, as they say, or like spaced out or whatever. But it's about having a good time and using this product to benefit you in any way that may be, right? Whether it be relaxing in a relaxing, mature environment, which is what the Infused Experience is. It's a relaxed, mature environment where, we consume safely. The foods are infused. You're going to have 3 courses as if you went to a restaurant. It's a great date night. It's a great singles night. It's a great all-around night for like-minded people who are looking to have a good, safe time. All right. And at places like this, at our events, we're going to show you what to look out for, right, in the industry. What you may think is lit or popping, as the young kids say, right, is probably not that, right? Because this is something we're going to show over there. We got this at a local big name place, big name, huge name. They're what you would call a vendor, right? They're a supplier of these type of products. This product originally comes from California, which is where everyone thinks they want to get their products from, right? We're not shouting out the product, but we're going to show you how this is a fake. See how good this packaging is, Craze?
Mm-hmm.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
All the way through. Nice. There's no signs of bootleg. This doesn't look like Canal Street at all, in no way, shape, or form. But we're going to show you how it quality. It's a quality knockoff, right? And we're going to show you things like this at the event and what to look for in your flower. You mentioned, I think one of you guys lives in the BX. Mm-hmm. And Rick, you're where?
Queens.
You're in Queens. So at your local place, right, you've got a guy. Everyone has a guy. In almost any neighborhood in America, there's a guy. And so your guy has some kind of flower, some kind of product, right, that he's going to show you. But usually they're going to show you product and they're going to misrepresent it. Not all of them, but they're going to misrepresent it in the way that they're going to show you something. It's going to look like it's right from California. It's going to have the label like it's right from California, but you open the bag and it's going to be what my partner and I call that foo-foo kachu. You know, that fugazi, that fugaz, you know, that VSOP bullshit, you know, it's not. So you're going to open up your bag or your envelope and you're going to see it. We're going to show you at the event what to look for in quality flour, how to avoid consuming PGR flour versus real naturally organic grown flour, and what you should expect when looking for organic real flour, how the pistils, how the buds should look, how the crystals themselves should look, the trichomes, the smell, how to crack a bud and look at the center and avoid bud rot and that kind of thing and mold, just so that we're all consuming safely. You know what I mean? Yeah, how would you feel if you went to a nightclub and you paid $300 for a bottle of fake liquor?
Which happens, I think.
You know, it happens.
Happens a lot.
People were dying in the Dominican Republic right off of bootleg liquors.
Yeah.
Right? So you want to avoid those extreme situations. Not that, you know, you're going to smoke a blunt of something fake or something whack and, you know, it's going to kill you, but you much rather want to know what you're paying for and be able to be educated and informed enough to get the best for your dollar.
Absolutely. Right? We definitely want to have our bud IQ go up.
Right. So the Infused experience is not just that. We're going to have fun. There are some adult games that you can participate in. Okay. There's going to be a VR, you know, the Oculus?
Yes.
So you're going to have the Oculus where you can view some buds and some beautiful out view, you know, sky views, skylines, and things that you want to choose. You get to choose yourself what it is that you want to participate in.
Yo, that's amazing, man. And that's on this Friday.
That's this Friday, 7:30 p.m. The Eventbrite link, Rick is going to post there somewhere.
I'll post it on my Instagram page along with
everywhere. Yeah, we'll put it up on our stories and stuff.
I'm not used to webcamming, as you can tell.
Just put on the bottom. We'll probably put it on the bottom.
I'm not camera friendly, really. There you go. But yeah.
Nah, we're
what's your experience with cannabis? How often do you guys consume, or what's been your experience with edibles?
All the time. I mean, edibles, not so much. I feel like I did for my birthday. I went to a spot that they have downtown that it's like you know, you do dinner and it's like 3-course, you know, thing. I forget the name of the spot, but it was really good. It's like a pizza place.
Yeah.
Delicious stuff. Blasted. That was like the last time I had edibles. But like what usually happens, I overdid it and just was like sleepy and went to sleep.
Yeah, that's a very common. How about you?
Doesn't sound like a bad night to me.
No, it's great. It was a wonderful food. It tasted great, you know, ambiance and bud and like high quality bud too. And it was really good. But again, I like to sometimes be able to, draw,
Enjoy,
or have conversation,
function. You want to be able to
and,
function.
yeah, and sometimes like the edible thing is just like
Too much. If the
night
dosage is too
juice.
high, it's hard to digest. So that's what happens. How about you,
Yeah.
Rick? Do you have the same
my
experience?
so I'm more Crazy is the smoker, I'm the drinker. We've always said that on this podcast. So I drink beer, but I do, for me, CBD in my coffee, and I'm the edible guy. Crazy is not.
Mhm.
I'd rather ingest it, and I actually know my own like limits.
Okay, good.
And when I do it, is
You
with
was into
grace.
that vape thing for a long
I
time,
was into vaping also, but I got a little bit
like
away
the
from it.
THC,
Yeah,
piece.
the vapes, But I got more into the edibles because I would have an edible and then waste some time, and then like I would get like that creativity would go crazy. I would start writing. I wrote a whole film on edibles, so
Nice.
that's what
Yeah.
it's also to take anxiety away, relax. Because the older I'm 37 now. Never had anxiety ever in my life. I always thought that was like a privileged thing to have anxiety. But the older I get, the more responsibilities I have.
The more privilege
Anxiety,
you got too.
anxiety hits. So for me, it's just perfect. And
It's
CBD,
a real thing.
do not knock
For
CBD.
real.
CBD is great. I use it in the coffee, the tinctures, and it just takes away any aches and pains that I have. I also suffer from sleep
Facts.
apnea, so
Me too.
sometimes I'll wake up with a headache, or like some back pain, and that gets rid of it, and I could go about my day
Right. Functional.
and start my day beautifully in a good space instead of like all groggy and discombobulated. So
Mhm.
that's my experience with it. I've always had a positive experience with it. I'm an advocate for it. Um, just I haven't really publicized it like that. This is actually the first time I'm talking about it on the show.
Oh, okay. So you're coming
So
out of what we call the cannabis closet.
The cannabis
yes,
closet.
the cannabis
In the
closet.
corner of the cannabis
That's
closet.
that's
I
recent for us too. Yeah.
I was deep into that cannabis closet, because of a lot of the stigmas when you grow up. They tell you it kills brain cells. They tell you this and that is bad for you, and they put such a negative connotation on it. You start to believe some of those things,
Right.
and then you don't want to be judged.
Yeah, I think
So,
for me it was always like, keeping it quiet was a way of life. When I was younger,
mm.
I think when I moved out of New York, I was a little bit more like, okay, this isn't that
well, you
big.
was in LA, so
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I was living in California, so like out there, it had already been like socially destigmatized,
Normalized. Yeah.
for the most part. So it kind of made it easier, when I came back here. But I feel like it's gonna, it's a shift that's happening, culturally here now, and I think, for me, it was more of like my relationship to like other people, right? Like it's like, whatever your social circle
mhm.
really has to do for us. I think for me and Rick with our family when we were younger, like
Oh,
when it comes to like
100%.
family, younger is like
You can't get piercings. You
like
can't get a
in my
tattoo.
family it was like the don't ask, don't tell, like like they
Mhm.
kind of knew, but it was like
Nah, not for
don't
me.
bring it around, don't bring it up, don't make it a thing. But I'm so happy that like folks like you are, helping to kind of bridge that information gap, especially with our older folks, and especially doing it through food, which I think is a great way of like especially with our people. And I'll speak to like, up here for us, the food is a good way to like communicate, that things are safe. It's like,
Yeah.
like,
Everyone
I'm
eats.
gonna put it in your food. It's safe. Trust me.
Okay.
Like
I mean, I've met a lot of people in my life, right? And I've been in different industries, and I've met people who don't drink liquor. I've met people who don't smoke cigarettes. I've met people who smoke cigarettes. I've met people who drink liquor. I've met people who smoke weed, who don't smoke weed.
yeah,
But I've never met someone who doesn't eat any kind of food. So, I mean, it's a good way to find a
common ground. Yeah,
common denominator
Healthy
with
balance,
someone,
yeah.
and to be able to link with them and build that rapport,
Mm.
especially if you can infuse the food from their country. If it's an horchata for someone from Mexico,
Yo,
if it's a mangú, you know, or a yaroa for somebody from Dominican Republic, if it's a rabo encendido for somebody from Cuba, if it's a pilone or piñone from somebody from Puerto Rico or an acapulco, then, you know, it's a great way, you know, for you to build that rapport, build that connection, and have some kind of a link with that person where the person, you know, you're reflecting each other, you're mirroring each other, and the people now accept you as an equal and you accept them as an equal. And it brings down those barriers, and the lines of communication are open, and it's better to move ahead that way. You know, it's just a great wall breaker.
we love it.
Look, Craze, can we play a game with Manny? Are you ready for that? No, you're not ready for that. Look at that.
No, you didn't.
Look at that.
Game.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
We're not doing that today.
We're not doing that one
We're doing
today.
3, 2, 1 today.
We are doing 3, 2, 1. So this is a segment we like to call 3, 2, 1. So Manny, give me 3 things you would like older Latinos to know about cannabis.
I would like older Latinos to know that cannabis is a safe product when consumed responsibly. That's number 1. Number 2, I would like older Latinos to know that cannabis is safer than alcohol. Number 3, I would like Latinos to know that cannabis can address dozens of everyday remedy ailments and issues and serve as a remedy for a lot of everyday issues and ailments that they're treating on a daily basis with other over-the-counter or pharmaceuticals that are giving them negative side effects.
Viva Peru.
Right. Instead of Viva Peru.
Yo, that's the product we. That's a product we got to do.
You got to infuse it.
Infuse menthol. Viva Peru right in your nose.
2 of the best infused foods you've had. 2 dishes that is a can't miss and it's beautiful. Give me the 2 of them and give me a little bit of the experience.
Or 2 products that you guys got.
2 products, yeah.
So we made prior to COVID prior to the pandemic an infused paella with lobster tails, scallops, calamar, fresh calamar. Nice. You know, I grew up in the Heights, but I'm in Jersey now, so I'm like a hybrid. You know what I mean? So I got a lot of Italian influence out here in Jersey. Shout out to my Italians.
Yo, shout out
my Goombas, my paisans. So it was a melody of seafood. Obviously, shrimp was in there. We had some squid, and it was infused. And the bottom part, when you look this up, if you go online and look it up, or go to an actual Spanish restaurant, what Dominicans and Puerto Ricans might call el rapao, el concon.
Yeah.
In a paella is called a socarrat, and the socarrat absorbs all the flavors,
all of it,
of all this seafood and all these herbs and spices infused. Beautiful, marvelous.
So I've had so many.
You're making me too fucking hungry with that.
I had the black squid ink paella, which was amazing with the squid ink on it, and it's like creamy.
Okay.
I never thought of having the fucking concon or the pegao or
yo.
So now I'm gonna request that.
We gotta do that.
You need that special pan, that Spanish pan. I'll do it for you. You know what? When we do the next infused experience, make sure you book your ticket, and we'll do a paella, and we'll go all out for you. And then another dish, which is my go-to that I love. I love it. Is pasta Alfredo. I make pasta Alfredo from scratch. This is not taking Alfredo from a bottle, you know, and just adding wheat butter to it. No, this is melting butter, adding cream, adding the flour, adding the spices, some freshly chopped garlic, you know, some other herbs that we don't want to, expose.
I'm fucking starving right now.
And then that pasta Alfredo, and you whip in that cream and add those cheeses, some Fontina cheese, you know, some Parmesan, a little provolone, some mousse, get it nice and melted, and you got your boiling pot, al dente pasta, drain that and drizzle
God, yo, Manny, I think you're getting too explicit with this
No,
shit.
no. Let the
It's
man finish.
pornographic.
Yes, that's what it was. It was beautiful.
Bam, and then we hit it at the end, a little bit of a mix of shaved cannabis flower, just a little bit because it's very terpy, and then that other shaved parsley, chopped dried parsley.
I think this shit counts as ASMR.
That segment will probably put it up as ASMR.
Hell yeah.
And what's one thing you want people to walk away knowing about cannabis? Stop people making.
Yo, you got
Roman Epic. You got to come to the event.
You got to come to the event.
Roman Epic Productions curious now. Like, yo, hold
on. She's like, wait, hold on a second.
Where's the link? The link is right here.
It's gonna come right down here.
I want people to know.
I'm gonna put the link on the Instagram right after the episode, and where you can get the tickets. It'll also be on my bio on the Instagram as well. So
follow me on the gram, Manny Infused Chef. Follow me on the gram, Manny Infused Chef. So one thing I want people to know about cannabis is that if they haven't consumed it, they're missing out, because recreationally and both medicinally, it's got tremendous, endless amount of benefits, and it's something that they should open up to and not close themselves off about. Feli El Grillo is talking about the tincture, about the oil.
Yo,
you can use this in sex. Apparently, he wants to speak for
He wants people to know.
Apparently, he wants people to know that he has it.
Grillo.
He's ready to use it.
He's a firm believer. He's a believer. We having Cannabis Church in here tonight, fellas.
Let's go.
We praise God.
El Grillo, testify.
Grillo, let them know. So yeah, that's what we want people to know about cannabis.
At Manny_infused_chef is his handle. At Delicias in Spanish for the number 4, the people, which is people is PPL.
And the Bud Tender Collective.
Oh really?
Bud Tender Collective.
The Bud Tender Collective is where you're gonna go to see our events, our upcoming events, and book tickets. I wrote it there in the chat. I don't know if people could see the chat or if that's just us private.
He wrote it on the private chat, but we'll
put it in there.
We'll put it in there. Wow.
So El Grillo is saying he's confessing that if a woman wants to come to an orgasm, he said it in Spanish.
Grillo,
if a woman wants to come to an orgasm, she just needs
thank you for the confirmation, Grillo.
And feel it. El Grillo is speaking from experience.
I hope El Grillo, that's that name, man.
I love that name.
El Grillo's Puerto Rican. Shout out to the boys out there.
Let's go.
I mean, for us Dominicans, when we used the term Grillo, it was
not a good term.
Not a good one, but
El Grillo means a cricket, and it's not.
It's not
because the cricket insect. It's a term towards women, street women who are not
derogatory term towards women.
Yes, the Bud Tender Collective. Go follow that also on Instagram.
Yo, facts.
Wow, the Infused Experience, a celebration of infused foods.
Yo, Manny, thank you for coming through.
Friday, December 10th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Manny, you already know you're a family, but now you're a family of the show. Yo. You're always welcome. Anytime you want to come back on the show, just send a message. Shout out to Ivan, Joel, the whole team.
Word.
This Friday, looking forward to it. I'm
coming through.
This is the first time, Manny. I swear to you, we'll probably have you on a couple more.
We need a cannabis correspondent on the show.
Yes,
I have the information, the willingness, and the humility to continuously provide accurate information and to know that I don't know everything, and I still need to learn, and I'm still learning.
We love your energy.
We're 5 years in, and we're looking at this for the long haul. You know, we want to empower our people with the right information, and so that they can benefit. It's not just about them ordering or, specifically ordering from us. No, we can't reach everyone.
It's about the culture, like I feel like it's about shifting that culture, culture shift, But yo, thank you again, man. This was really informative. You described everything deliciously, and now I'm ready. I'm ready for the fucking event. To be honest,
it was an experience just to hear him describe.
I'm ready.
Come through Friday, the Infused Experience. It's gonna be proper, lit, and beautiful.
Hey, let's go.
I'll put the link on my Instagram. It'll be on my bio on Instagram as well. Follow Manny _infused_chef at Instagram, and Delicia 4, the number 4, the
For the people.
PPL for the people. Manny, thank you once again, my brother. I appreciate you taking the time to be on the show. Look forward to the feedback from the event, because I'll have some people there, and I have to be at the next one. I can't be on this one, but I have to be in the next one for sure.
I'm letting
Crazy, you going?
I'm gonna be there straight up.
Crazy is coming. I got
Crazy.
you.
You got to give me a whole detail next Tuesday of how it went.
I got you.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Next week, we'll have another cannabis enthusiast on the show.
Word?
This time is a Latina who started her own CBD company. It's called Hustle and Flow. So Jamie Galvis will be on the show next Tuesday, which I feel is dope. It's dope that we're changing the perception of cannabis, but also that women are getting into this business as well.
Facts.
So we'll see you guys next week at 8:00. Manny, thanks again. Craze Boogie, have a good night.
Peace out, everybody.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, marvelous. Okay. Yeah, I'm on my Frank Lucas shit. 3-piece suits, Valentino cufflinks, LV shoes. I bring the shorty closer, just enough to feel the gun on the holster. Out on the balcony, feeling on the breeze. City skylines, we're puffing on some trees. Cup of Henny on the rocks with the soda. Maybach, front of the building with the chauffeur. Yeah. And he waiting on me, got umbrella in his hands and my name in the seats. No gift, baby, no thanks. No chinchillas, baby, so what happened to Frank? No phone calls, transactions hand in hand. Give the drugs to Rick, the money to Benny Banks. Talk to Craze and he talks to me. Keep my business out the streets, it's the ART.